First, before I start, I want to get out of the way that this list is an opinion piece. If you don't agree with any of my takes, then that's good for you. I'm proud of you for forming your own opinion. A few months ago, I completely lost my drive for gaming. And then two of my besties played TFC with me. And I've been hooked ever since. Ever since I got that first sweet, succulent feel of just playing a heavy-moving, hard-hitting, honest-to-God boomer shooter, I've been wanting more. Getting Quake, and finally starting Half-Life, playing them both extensively. And I've played TF2, but TFC is not TF2. Can you throw a concussion bomb and fucking throw yourself around the map in TF2? No. Can you be medic and run into an enemy team, poisoning an entire team, making them spread the disease that I have encroached onto a few people to the rest of their team, like the bubonic fucking plague in TF2? No. TFC is special in that it sucks. TFC is special because it was made in a time where hero team shooters are literal decades away from being mainstream, making it fairly unique in all the Quake, deathmatch, and general arena shooter stuff that had already existed at the time. With classes like Scout, a class with increased speed, and a shitty gun called the nail gun, which is really funny to kill people with. I love TFC. It's simple, it's fun, and it's very refreshing to boot up the TFC 1999 server when I'm bored of casual TF2. Some of the cons of TFC is that it's a 20-year-old game. It has a dead player base, that is for sure. Yeah, there is one server, and it does have a pretty steady player count most of the time, but some of the cons of having a dead player base like TFC is that even when you do get into the one server that's pretty frequently populated, it means you're gonna get pretty much curb stomped while you play, especially if you're a new player just trying out the game for the first time. Because, you're going against people who have been playing the game for 20 years. And for that, I think I'm going to give TFC a B. Because, while it is fun, and I do enjoy playing it a lot, it's definitely dated and can be hard for newer players to get into. Now let's talk about Quake. Hey, so, we didn't actually beat Quake yet. What do you mean we didn't beat Quake yet? We got either sidetracked or bored and were playing other games at the time, hence, not finishing Quake. Okay, I get it. What else on the list did we finish? Half-Life? Ah! Okay, so let me tell you about Half-Life. Half-Life is our good friend Valve's very first game. To my knowledge, anyway. I just did a quick Google search. Now, I have a very unique take on Half-Life. Because I unintentionally broke and did the wrong things all of the time. That it even caused my friend who is well-versed in the game to be like, what the fuck did you do? To open this section, I want to talk about how I broke the game so incredibly badly on my very first playthrough in a very funny way. So let me paint you a picture. You're inside the facility, trying to escape, and figure out what in the alien hell is going on. And you find an elevator that leads to the surface. Awesome, you think? So you take the elevator, clear this area, and go down into these vents. A normal person would look through all these vents, eventually finding the room with the scientist where you open the blast door. You know, the obvious progressor. You know what I did? I went to this fenced off area with the vent, looking at the vent, and the little goblin inside my brain said, "Oh, there's a slight gap there. You could definitely get up that with a simple grenade jump." Remember, people, I played TFC. I know how to grenade jump. So I do it, somehow, and I crawl past the fence and jump down into this area, which I've already been to. So I backtracked this entire area here, not really understanding what to do because, my brain thought I was supposed to be down here. Eventually, getting to this elevator here. This elevator being where the problems really started to show. When I opened this elevator, the platform wasn't there. That's weird. Why is it doing that? I pressed the button, not really expecting anything to happen, and as I look up, I see the elevator no-clipping through the wall to make its way down to me. At this point, I think, oh, okay, I figured it out. So I try to back up outside of the elevator to wait for it to come down, but wait, the gates are closed. And when I try to open the gates to walk outside, the elevator stops. So what's my first thought? Oh, I know. I'll just crouch when the elevator gets low enough, press the button, and walk out before it crushes me. Which, surprisingly enough, works the first time. But as I go up the elevator and make it to a place I've already fucking gone before, something weird happens. It loads a different area. Not the area I think I'm supposed to be in. So I'm left stuck in the void. At this point, I'm 100% sure I did something wrong. I'm just not sure what exactly. So I load my last functioning save and wait till the next day to talk about it with someone who knows more than me about the game. Now, the next day comes and I show my friend the problem, running them through all the things that I did. Except the vent jump part. And they're as confused as I am, telling me to use cheats like no-clip to force a solution, which, hooray, does work, but now I explain to my friend foolishly, yeah, I'm in this area now, but I've already been here. I've already been to the surface. Now this spawns a moment that is just the embodiment of what? What do you mean you've already been to the surface? How exactly did you get back into that area after getting to the surface? You were never supposed to be back in that specific area. Huh? And all of a sudden, it clicks inside my brain that this domino effect of events all happened because of one singular thing. Me grenade jumping onto the vent. And once it finally clicks to me, I start laughing hysterically and explain everything to my friend. It turns into such a funny moment and honestly probably will be one of my favorite moments in gaming for a long time. Just the fact that my goblin TFC rotted brain thought that the correct solution was to grenade jump onto a vent to progress. But I love Half-Life. It's such a janky and laughably dated game that it adds a lot of charm. Whether it's the dialogue and mannerisms of the NPCs, like the scientists or security guards.
Gordon, you're over half an hour late. Where the fuck have you been?
Or the janky movement that could either make or break a certain decision you make. Yes, the game has its slow points, like for example, Zen, the final section of the game, definitely felt half-baked, and kinda confusing at what to do at times. But even with its flaws, these sections were still pretty fun in my opinion. Even the final boss was not too bad, despite some people not liking it very much. If you were to rank all of the sections, and a good majority of them were S, the lesser sections would still be an A, or at most a B. So on the Boomer Shooter tier list, I'm giving it a solid A. I think an A rating is a perfect representation of a damn good game that's a little rough around the edges, which, for 1998, isn't bad at all. Now finally, let's talk about Quake. Quake's weird. It subverts your expectations a lot, and right when you think you know what you're doing, it'll change something or introduce a new enemy type. It's a relatively short experience, taking me just over 10 hours to beat it on my first playthrough, but man, did I have fun. I mean, one of the main things Quake is praised for, and the main thing that people took inspiration from in games after it, was the movement. And let me tell you, it doesn't let down. A friend recommended binding jump to the right mouse button, and that helped massively. I was zooming through certain sections from that alone. The bunny hopping, the rocket jumping, the strafing around enemies right before they hit you, it felt right at home. And it wasn't just the movement either. The secret hunting was a big plus for me during my playthrough. Every time I found a little secret area, whether by complete accident or from me going out of my way to find something, it always felt rewarding. Always. Solely because of that simple, "You found a secret" text at the top of the screen. Whenever I saw that text and heard the secret sound, I always got a little bit of a dopamine boost. Yeah! I found that secret all by myself! And definitely didn't use a rocket launcher to rocket jump up and get it. Sometimes, though, the secrets would be a little annoying. Remember that thing I said earlier about Quake subverting expectations, making you not get too comfortable with something? Secrets at the beginning of the game are perceived to be a little safe haven that usually will have a few goodies, like health and ammo. But as you slowly progress through the game, secrets start not all being like that. Oh, you thought you were going to be safe here? In your little safe secret zone? Wrong. Random enemies. It takes the safety feeling and rips it away when you get too comfortable, oftentimes jump scaring me and making me feel hurt and violated. I wish I had streamed this game because my reactions to some of these secrets were just priceless. Even on the boss fight, Quake subverts your expectations. You spend the entire game gathering runes to open a gate that will lead to boss name I'm not comfortable saying, honing your skills, finding weapons, and dealing with the boss's children along the way. Even in the pre-boss room, you get fucking loaded on ammo and health, so you would assume it would be this massive boss fight, pulling out all the stops, just throwing everything at you. This is your chance to prove yourself a worthy opponent, capable of saving Earth from the boss's wrath. Right? Wrong. Beat the boss by telefragging. Which, I mean, it's funny and a really cool scene, but it can feel really anticlimactic considering the literal hell you had to go through to get to them. But I mean, don't get me wrong, I still took my victory with pride. I felt happy and accomplished, even if it was kind of a silly ending. I really enjoyed Quake, so much so that I ended up getting Quake 2 and Dusk as well, a very popular Quake-like that was released in 2018. Despite that though, it does have some flaws, as do any game. Due to its samey textures and tendency to have a lot of hallways, some of the levels feel like mazes. I often found myself backtracking and wandering through levels after finally finding the gold rune key I needed to exit the freaking level, spending more time than needed just to find where I needed to go. My second nitpick would probably be the enemies. While there are plenty of enemy types, with all having varying and unique attack types, I never really found myself experimenting in the ways I could kill them. And the times that I did was mainly due to the fact that I was low on ammo. But for a majority of the game, you kinda just use whatever, switching to whatever has the most ammo, or kills the fastest. It got to a point that in some cases, I would only run Rocket Launcher, since it had the most ammo, and killed the quickest at the time. I never found myself actively wanting to experiment with different weapons on different monsters. While there can be a lot of variation of how you go about clearing a room, I'll usually just use the double barrel and call it a day. However, despite my little nitpicks, none of these flaws were super diminishing to my experience. Yes, sometimes it took me a bit to find where I needed to go, but it never took a gratingly long time, maybe 5 minutes max. And while I did feel there wasn't much incentive to experiment with different weapons on different monsters, that didn't stop me from still having a blast killing stuff. I had a good time, so I think I'm going to give Quake a well-deserved A+, making it higher than Half-Life on our Boomer Shooter tier list, but not quite S, which I think is fair. Despite where these games stand on the tier list, despite if you love them or hate them, There is no doubt that each one of these games listed are fundamental to the FPS genre, and to gaming as a whole. If we didn't have these games, the gaming landscape today would most likely be drastically different. So, we have to be thankful for the games that helped sculpt and mold the gaming sphere over the years, setting new standards, introducing new ideas, and innovations. Hey! If you liked this video and want to see more, consider subscribing. This video was the first in a Boomer Shooter tier list series that I'd like to continue doing. So if you have any games you'd like to see, leave them in the comments below, and I'll put them in the backlog. And hey, I recently hit 200 subscribers, so I guess consider this a 200 sub special. I am very, very excited for the future of this channel, and I hope every new viewer here is too. Expect some cool stuff in the coming months, and have a good day.